So Ghana's elections are over and John Dramani Mahama is the new president. What's next for the new force, ladies and gentlemen? I want to discuss two scenarios with you in what's likely to happen. Scenario number one is if Nana Kwame returns to want to build a political party and run for 2028 elections. And scenario number two is if Nana Kwame chooses not to run again and therefore not interested in forming a political party. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into that, be kind to subscribe to my channel if you haven't and click on the notification bell for more updates. Now, let's dissect this. Scenario number one is if Nana Kwame decides to run it back and this time set a political party. Folks, this is what it will mean. First of all, you have to be ready to change his perspective of making decisions for the party, moving forward alone. And that may be a challenge for him. The fact that he will have to allow for not his individual preferences and style and structure and contributions, but also others will perhaps be the biggest challenge to him. On his own, he knows how he wants things done. But bringing in a whole groups of individuals with different backgrounds and mindset may not be as easy to put up with. So to me, that's going to be the first challenge should he choose to establish a political party. Secondly, there will be the need for national, regional, constituency and zonal elections to usher in officials in charge of respective duties. This will be done after the launch of the party. So we are looking at a launch of a political party, elections at different levels, and we set up party and constituency offices across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is super expensive and rigorous process to undertake, and so I propose the party establishes a party enterprise to fund the activities of the party. I'll get into that in another episode. But take for instance a new force, party farms. This will instantly put people to work, generate income, and keep the party relevant in whichever regions we are established. Then we strategize towards media and grassroots campaigns. This part will be the most important arm of the entire organization, in the sense that whether we become successful in the next 4 years elections or not will be determined by the effort put into the campaigns and the number of new recruits. Monthly and yearly targets will have to be set and appraisals conducted accordingly. Listen folks, all these things I'm describing can be done when Nana Kwame Bediako first decides to run again and run with a political party. It's all based on his decision. But once he chooses to go with this option, we can now strategize on ways to maybe align with other independent or political parties moving forward. For those who remember, it took the NPP party aligning with almost 4 other parties in the 2000 elections to win their first. We will need lawyers and all manner of people on board. Now, involving the second scenario of if Nana Kwame decides not to run again and therefore drops the new force movement, ladies and gentlemen, I propose we do not allow the movement to die, but rather put together a roadmap to do everything I've just said for the first scenario. You need to understand this, that if John Mahama doesn't amend the constitution to run a second time, because he has the numbers and he could do it with the numbers if he chooses to do it, 2028 elections will present a new face candidate for the NDC party and most probably a new candidate for the MPP party as well. Do you know that as it stands now, the MPP is fractured from within and may disintegrate even more if they maintain their current flag bearer? So there is so much we could do to attract the millions of voters who chose not to participate in this year's elections. If Nana Kwame decides not to run for 2020 elections, it will be a big blow in the short term to many followers who individually contributed to his efforts in the elections. But we must remember, these are people who are falling off from supporting the two main parties. Now, the number one challenge we will be facing is this. This has been the challenge with almost every movement or smaller party in Ghana since the year 2000. Financing has been the main reason why almost all these smaller parties have become proxies for the two main parties. I'm saying that to say this, that the smaller parties in Ghana are one way or the other dependent on the funding of the two main parties, and the new force could easily fall into that if we do not have financial dependency as whether we stay as a movement or a political party. So if Nana Kwame chooses to push forward, which I encourage him to do, that will be the most ideal situation for the purpose of leading us with his popularity and policies, and also leading us into getting funding for the party. Let me bring this information to your attention. Before this year's elections, winning an election in Ghana was estimated to cost $100 million. This piece of information was put forth from the research of the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana. $100 million for presidential elections alone. I needed you to hear this to have an idea of what it takes to become president of Ghana. Now, that 100 million figure is for political parties that have most of the structures in place already. They've got the offices, the vans, the pickup trucks, a whole lot of logistics, media houses in place. And so you can imagine how much a newly formed political party must invest to win. In addition to this, there is speculation out there that the NPP spent close to $300 million and the NDC party spent approximately $200 million to win. So the figures to invest by 2028, keeping in mind the kind of inflation that will be there, maybe 300 million and above. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a walk in the park. You may have the best policies and candidates, but without proper structures and campaign methodologies, you will lose every single time. It's similar to having the best of any product but cannot sell much, but others having a worse product and yet dominating the market because of their marketing systems or strategies. People's goodwill commitment only will not get it done. There has to be those on payrolls and those on financial supports. The more you think deeply into the situation, the more it feels impossible to achieve. But ladies and gentlemen, Ghana is worth saving. Everything I've said here also depends on the performance of the new regime. Whether John Mahama does well or not with the economy, it benefits us. If he does well, the NPP will still be unattractive and will stand a chance of attracting voters who aren't voting for the NPP but won't also associate with the NDC. If John Mahama doesn't do well with the economy, we'll have a message to convince voters of how disappointing their two parties have been. There is, however, one condition under which a new party may come into office with zero or very small budget, and that is when there is a revolt or military takeover. Otherwise, the figure is the same. So at this point, not just me, but everyone who is in support of the new force would like to hear from Nana on his plans moving forward. Thanks for taking time to watch today's episode, and be kind to subscribe and click on the notification bell. I'll come your way again with another one. Until then, God bless you, God bless Ghana, and it's bye-bye for now.